And I'll tell people all the time when I'm doing premarital counseling, I don't want your marriage just to survive. I want it to thrive. I want it to be what God wants it to be. Because I hear people like, oh, we've been married for 50 years, or they'll say that about somebody else, but they're miserable.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, again, that's awesome that y'all stay together for that. But I mean, is that it? Just to kind of, is that the gauge of a healthy, marriage? Is longevity, just a time? For Carrie and I, man, it has been, at year 7 or 12 or whenever kind of thing, where it's been seasons of those emotions wasn't quite as strong, and there was a lot of difficulties and stuff like that. And if it were merely emotion, we tap out. Let's find, but we press through, and through those struggles, man, that love is deepened.
Yeah,
it becomes more, and it's so much more. Because I'm still learning.
I'm Austin.
I'm Robby.
And it has been a while.
Yeah.
How was your trip to New York?
Oh man, it was really good. So we went. We were there for 3 full days. Carrie and I, just Carrie and I, which is always great, man, for us to get away, because celebrating 22 years this year in marriage, man, with 3 kiddos. You just not a lot of those trips, and so it was a bucket list thing. She had never been. It'd been 20 plus some odd years since I had been. And it was really cool. We didn't get to do a few things. Like, we didn't see a Broadway show, which I would have liked to have done. She would have loved that kind of thing.
Yeah.
We didn't
go.
go.
Like musicals?
No, I do not. I've never seen one in person live. No, I'm not a musical. Like, anytime a sitcom does one, I don't watch it. I mean, I'll just be honest. It's just now. What's funny is my brother-in-law. They went to New York a few years ago, just a couple of years ago. Went again to a New York Yankees game, what we did, but they went to a musical. And he was like, when he got back, he was like, man, it was so awesome. And he was like, I didn't want to go, and I felt like I was going to have to get my man card up and, all this kind of stuff. He was like, and it was awesome, kind of thing. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I'm sure it would have been great. But, man, we were so spent because you walk so much. I mean, I don't see how everybody's just not, and they are, I guess, large part, that just fit as can be, because you walk everywhere. Yeah. And so there was a lot of exercise, getting on subway that was just it's crazy. Sometimes we got lost many times. But it's, you don't have any kids and all that kind of stuff, so it was cool. Just she and I. But yeah, man, we got to do some really neat things, saw some sights, and by day 3 we were missing South Georgia. We were missing our kids and just being back home and ministry and stuff like that, man. But yeah, I'm a South Georgia boy, dude. Like, I was ready to get back home.
So did y'all do this thing every year? You go to a new stadium?
Well, we about every other year.
Okay.
Because New York is expensive. I mean, it's insane expensive.
Okay.
Yeah, like everything is double. Like, a lot of the people that we met, I mean, probably 90% of them that we met didn't live in New York City. You know what I mean? Like, they live outside of the city because they would say it's so expensive. Like, we went to supposedly, the best pizza place in New York City, and our waiter comes up, and it took me saying 2 words, I think. He was like, man, where are you from? And I was like, Georgia, kind of thing. And he was like, no, where in Georgia though? And I didn't know he was messing with me or just trying to be polite or what. And I was like, well, it's in between Tip and Valdosta, trying to give him, he's like, man, I'm from Rome. Yeah, I know exactly where that is, kind of thing. So, okay. And the cool thing is he was a professor at a college, and he was our waiter at the pizza place. And so I didn't say anything, but my mind was like, yeah, this is how expensive it is. You can be a full-time professor at a college there in New York, and you still got to be a waiter on the weekends, because it was insane. I mean, meals, I can only imagine, apartments and stuff like that. It's crazy. People everywhere. But it's neat. We love, Carrie and I both, we love just experiencing new environments, new cultures, just different people.
Yeah.
And man, you get all kinds of different people in New York. I mean, it was unique and good, good, for she and I just to get away like that and experience it together. But yeah, we were ready to get back.
Nice.
So yeah, we do it about every other year. So Chicago's kind of our next place. So maybe next year, maybe the next. We have to save up a little while before we can do these trips. How about you, man? How you been? It's been, golly, forever since you and I have done one of these.
Yeah, it's been good. Yeah, I don't build cabinets still. It's just been I don't know, trying to work with a new schedule, new girlfriend.
I was wondering. I wasn't going to ask, but since
Yeah.
you said it now, I can ask.
Yeah.
I didn't know if you had brought that up before, that you
No.
are dating. Okay, cool.
But that's been good. That's been fun. I've really loved their family.
Huh.
That was something I was always worried about, was I'd end up with somebody and I wouldn't look forward to going to see their family.
Yeah,
And I love going to their family's house. It's
that's good.
the best. And we went to the night of worship together with their family. That was a ton of fun. It was watching Ryan. I don't know. I left the night of worship just really being thankful that Ryan's our worship leader and that we had the band we do,
Agreed.
because I felt like you seen their heart
Yeah.
and they just poured it out. And it was, again, I was just so thankful. I left being like so excited. I was like, we're going home with the best band. Like, I love the other bands.
Yeah, no doubt.
That Methodist church blew me away.
Yeah, she was phenomenal. The young lady that sung, man, phenomenal. Yes.
The dude got up there and obviously, like, they didn't have a full band. It was like a acoustic set or whatever.
Yeah.
The dude gets up there and he's like, I hope we don't bore y'all. And I was like, oh God, what is this?
And it's something they were going deeper or something. And I thought, oh my goodness, what are we about to sing? Kind of thing. But they drilled it, man.
Dude, I was so blown away. I was like,
Yeah.
you didn't bore me at all.
No.
Yeah, I felt like the other bands, they really pumped you up and all, but that one, like, I felt like it was we needed to meditate on the words we're singing.
Yeah.
And really, like, be reflective for a moment.
Agree.
And I was like, y'all know what y'all doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was so happy about that.
Yeah, it was good. It was funny because that Sunday when Ryan, he's usually the first one that gets here, and so he and I get a good chance to talk every Sunday and kind of catch up on some stuff, and we were talking about the night of worship and things like that, and I can't remember. Maybe I asked, or maybe he said something about you being there, and I said, really? I said, I was going to ask somebody because my man had posted, all these posts about being there and being a rectangle if you wasn't there and all this. And I didn't see him. So I just thought you just did. He's like, nah, he was over there kind of in the right corner. And I said, oh.
Yeah.
So was it just he and his girlfriend, because were they just cuddled up in the corner or something? Because, I walked around, pre-service and the pizza time, intermittent kind of thing. And I never saw him. So I guess you were there.
Dude, we got there right on time. We got there the same time Miss Dina, Kaylee, and Josie and all them got there. So we parked right beside each other.
Yeah.
And everybody was already in the sanctuary.
Yeah.
And walking into that was, I wish we would have gotten there early because I could not see anything.
What was funny?
We took a step back and tried to let our eyes adjust.
Yeah. We got there because we had Bryce. And so we wanted to get there and get settled and that sort of thing and talk with folks and whatnot. And so we got there like at 6:30. Well, like at 6:40, Wayne Aid, he comes up to me and he and I were talking and he was like, you know how Wayne is, I love him. Can I impersonate him real quick? He's like, Robby. No, he didn't even say that. He says, Pastor. Where's everybody at? And I know what he means.
Yeah.
Because really nobody was there. It was probably a fourth, fifth of the chairs. It was like, and it was, 20 till kind of. I said, when do people show up at Bridge on Sunday morning? They got 20, really 30 minutes because they'll be 10 minutes late kind of thing to be here. And it was like about 5 or 10 till, it was like everybody came in.
I wonder if the same thing happened to other people that happened to us. It took us to the old journey.
I think so. I really do think that happened. Yeah,
And
because
so-
I had one of our members actually text and was like, "Hey, where is it? Because we don't know. It's taking us to the old place."
Yeah.
So yeah, it could have been.
Yeah.
People do like to just get there right on
Yeah.
time. You know.
I literally planned. I was like, yo, we're leaving early, and then we got to the old building. I was like, this is not it.
Yeah.
I've seen the pictures of the new building.
Yeah.
This is nowhere near that. And then we just jumped on the website real quick,
Yeah.
and the address is right there.
Yeah. And the thing is, man, the whole night obviously being that of unity, and you did. I mean, you got was it 5 total bands? 1, 2, 3,
4.
4 total bands. Okay, 3 were from Tifton, and obviously we're in Nashville kind of thing, so we were the oddball out. But it was really neat, having the different ones, and let's just be honest too. The Journey First Baptist Church, especially the contemporary service, would be. I mean, we know it's not a competition, but some would see it. You know what I mean? Like, which one do you go to, kind of thing. You know what I mean? So to see, man, them come together and just, man, worship Jesus and just their hearts behind it. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Like, that was my thing, is like, because I'm real cautious, whether it's listening, like, do you fill in for me preaching, or me listening to somebody else, or music or anything. It's real easy to kind of nitpick. I mean, we all can do that, like, I don't know if that hit, or, oh, I don't like that song, or, ooh, our band is better, or whatever it is, you know what I mean? But, man, it was just so refreshing.
Yeah.
And you just felt the spirit, just the freedom in the place, and everybody you talked to was super excited. I got to see a lot of faces I hadn't seen in a while, kind of thing. So it was a good night.
Yeah. It was cool seeing the different songs, because when our band started, they played songs. I was like, I think these are the most like popular Christian songs you can play. Like, they didn't leave room for the other bands to pick one of the popular songs. And then watching, because I don't really listen to K-Love or anything like that. And so I was like, there's really no other songs you can choose unless you go to like Casting Crowns in 2000 or something.
Yeah.
And then watching the other bands and the songs that they sing every Sunday and the differences. But then realizing that I think every group played Maverick City music.
Yeah. There was a theme.
Yeah. Because then I went in First Baptist's band, their I Thank God song.
Yes.
I looked that one up, and it was like Maverick City Choir. I was like, oh, okay. And then realizing one our songs was, I think, from Maverick City. And then I'm forgetting, Rest on Us, that the Methodist Church played, was Maverick City. I was like, okay.
Yeah. And it's cool too, like that Thank God song, when I went with the youth to the youth camp, that was one of the songs. And they jammed that thing.
That was my first time ever hearing that.
Yeah, no, but it was the first time there that I'd ever heard it.
Yeah.
Because they did kind of the same thing. They played a lot of Maverick City, and I like Maverick City, but I just, at that time, I had not heard those songs.
When TJ Molden?
Yeah.
When he started, and it's like Wandering Through the Night, and he's a very charismatic guy.
Yeah.
I thought he was like about to sing a Disney song because of how like it starts off and all. I was like, he's going to like tell us a story. Like, I was excited, and then he like goes into the song. I was like, oh no, this is like an actual worship song.
That's funny. Man. I did not think that, but that's cool.
Yeah. Gosh, but that was great.
Yeah, it was good. Stuff like that, and obviously that's just one thing. I mean, as far as, yes, it was, I mean, they did some scripture reading and kind of devotional stuff, things like that. But obviously it was driven kind of more of just music and the unity of praise. But man, more churches getting together for mission, service, just different things. Getting outside our walls, because we get so, people ask me all the time about that. Why don't more churches? And what, to be honest, I don't think it's always negative. I don't think it's always the churches, just being like, oh, it's just about us kind of thing. I think they just get so busy and so focused on ministry that they're doing and already participating in or planning to, that, you just kind of, it happens and time happens. You know what I mean? It's like, I'll talk to a pastor and be like, we need to get together for lunch. And then it's 6 months later.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's not intentional. It's not avoiding or anything like that. It's just, they're busy. They're, it's kind of, so it was really good. And I hope more of that will take place.
I do too. That felt like that was needed.
Yeah.
And it was cool too. Just I know our church is full of a bunch of like mixed denominations, even though we're still Southern Baptist.
Yeah.
And so like I'm looking at our band, I'm like, yeah, like I know where all of us come from, and we're not all like Baptist.
No.
And so that was cool.
If you were to ask, though, most of our people, because I had somebody this past Sunday who literally is a member and been here for years, and they were talking to me and said something about that night of worship, and somebody had asked them about what denomination. She's like, I think we're non-denomination. We don't really. Yeah, I just didn't even say anything. I just let it roll for a while. Yeah. Because it's so refreshing. I mean, again, yes, we are, and we started intentionally that way. But it was never like, I don't care if it's Church of God or Southern Baptist or non-denomination, whatever. I mean, we didn't want it to be, we're building that kingdom. Mm-hmm. We're about Jesus and his kingdom. You know what I mean? And so it was, we want this just smorgasbord of religious background and, even current status kind of thing.
So that was cool because I knew our band reflected like the diversity of the kingdom, but then it's like a church that I guess comes off as non-denominational, us, and then you have First Baptist, and then First Methodist and Journey, and I just thought it was cool because it was like I'm sure we disagree on a lot of things with those other churches, but we were able to come together and worship, and we were all singing each other's songs. Yeah, and it was just one of those cool, and it was cool realizing the Maverick City thing because I was like, Maverick City is like apparently really unifying for the churches because I was even listening to some of their songs today and they're like some of the doctrine in their songs was like really solid. I was like, I don't think I've ever heard a worship band talk about the jealousy of God in a song. Yeah, like the whole song being about that. Yeah, and it was like going into detail about like how we're like the adulterous wife. I was like, I genuinely cannot think of a worship song that does that. Yeah. But they do that. And again, it was just really cool because it's like this big popular band that even like Shawn Mendes and Justin Bieber, they're loving Maverick City. Yeah. They're not only able to like reach across the border, so to say, but then they're also like unifying the churches and we're all singing the same songs. And then when we come together, it's like, we're competing on which one are we going to get to sing. Yeah. Well,
and a cool thing too about that, man, about them doing that, like I heard one time a clip, it was Taylor Swift, and she was talking about, because she writes her own songs, I guess all of them, I don't know, a majority or whatever, and she was talking about how from one record to the next, it would take her 2 or 3 years because when she'd write one, it would reflect a lot of the old, kind of feelings and emotions. She's like, it's hard to express old feelings in a new way. Well, when you said that about, them singing, like, whether it's topics or specific scripture or principles from scripture, kind of, like, there's a plethora of just, like, then there's so much, even as a preacher, man, like, I'm just always, like, how many times I read it from front to back, and yet you find different things in there all the time because it's living and active. And so for songs, man, there's just so much there, but it's like, okay, well, let's, just talk about one topic. And so everybody kind of just seems to be this, common thread theme of, whether it's God's love, which we obviously should sing and talk about kind of thing. But yeah, I mean, God's wrath or, an adulterous wife. I mean, stuff like that. It's like, you can do a praise song. Why not? Yeah. It's in Scripture, and it's really good news. I mean, that we are, or were that. Yeah. And he's,
That gets into it, though. The topic for today. Yeah. What is love? Yeah. Because, so we've mentioned I started dating this girl named Berlin, and one of the conversations we keep bringing up because we like talking about it is the idea of what is love. Okay. And specifically like love as a feeling versus love as an action. Yes. And how we're dating, and so we're thinking through like the whole marriage conversation and all, and we talk about like our views on divorce, and why people get divorces, and one of the reasons why being you just fall out of love with each other.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea of, well, if you base your idea of love on a feeling,
Mm-hmm.
then you
Eventually
set up.
that's going to happen.
Yeah, that puts not even just marriage or dating, it puts every relationship you have in your life in danger because you're never gonna like constantly feel in love with people. Even with God, of like, for me, I've not always been in love with God. There's been times where I've genuinely hated God, but love is when we just turn love into this feeling, and that's how we view it. Then I don't know. We put a lot of stuff on the table, and it definitely has a potential and probably will go away because love as a feeling. Feelings are fleeting, you know?
Yeah. Dude, let me say, too, like, anybody that's listening, man, like, that is so... Can I ask you how long y'all been dating? I mean, do you have a number?
Yeah, Saturday, 2 months.
2 months, okay. So, I mean, really, really new. But the fact that 2 months in, and obviously I'm sure y'all have had these conversations, you said in the past, relatively recent, since it's only been 2 months, but you're having those type of conversations. And I just, really, whatever stage you're at, whether you just started dating or you're about to be engaged or, or you already are, just whatever, like these conversations, you should have those. And I think you should have them pretty early.
Yeah.
I mean, people may think, oh, well, if I have it early, I might scare him or her off kind of thing. Well, if that scares he or her off, maybe, you know what I mean, you shouldn't be together kind of like. These are topics, like you said, with love and marriage and divorce and just, kids and discipline. I mean, those type of topics don't have to wait until you start doing premarital counseling.
Yeah.
I mean, you should really have them, again, I wouldn't come out swinging date one with it kind of thing. That's right.
I'll be honest. We both were on guard about who we dated and not wanting it to be just another failed relationship in the future. And so we start off like, what are your thoughts on people falling out of love with each other? And do you believe in love at first sight and like all that stuff? And it was kind of like are you someone that has a heart to commit to something long term? And what if your idea of love is just based on feeling? Well, then like I'm going to tap out because you're going to fall out of love with me at some point. I'm not that like admiring, but we had this conversation super early on, just to kind of get a gauge on where that person was at and how they viewed things, so that we didn't end up in a relationship and then find out later and be like, oh, great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, I know we're going to get off the emotion aspect of it, but I mean, it's a big thing. Obviously, you fall in and out of love. We hear that said a ton in our culture. Here's the thing. I would even say, man, like, Carrie and I will be 22 years in November, and we, you have the hunt. I mean, I think most people, maybe not all, but most people, have the honeymoon stage, and most would say the first 7 years, and that 7 year mark is a tough one kind of thing. Typically, 7, 8, 9 years, the honeymoon's over kind of thing. There's a lot of, it's just life change even within the relationship. It's just, it's tough. And so you have those seasons where it's hard. And it is so easy. We've had moments where, okay, if it is just an emotion, well, I don't feel like in those moments, and I know Carrie would say that. There's been times where she didn't feel like at that moment. Now, she would say she loved me or whatever, but it wouldn't be like, oh, yeah, but we're struggling. We're having these issues. Things are not smooth, and the honeymoon's over kind of thing. But we press through. Yeah. Because we have committed, committed together kind of thing. And what's really cool, man, is our love today is a gazillion, I know that's not a word, times more than it was when we had our honeymoon phase, when we first met. And it's not just, oh, well, y'all have been together for that long. No, I mean, dude, I know people, and I'll tell people all the time when I'm doing premarital counseling, I don't want your marriage just to survive. I want it to thrive. I want it to be what God wants it to be. Because I hear people like, oh, we've been married for 50 years, or they'll say that about somebody else, but they're miserable.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, again, that's awesome that y'all stay together for that. But I mean, is that it? Just to kind of, is that the gauge of a healthy, marriage? Is longevity, just a time? For Carrie and I, man, it has been, at year 7 or 12 or whenever kind of thing, where it's been seasons of those emotions wasn't quite as strong, and there was a lot of difficulties and stuff like that. And if it were merely emotion, we tap out. Let's find, but we press through, and through those struggles, man, that love is deepened.
Yeah,
it becomes more, and it's so much more. Because I'm still learning.
Yeah.
22 years later, about Carrie.
Yeah.
And I don't want to ever stop.
I think it's kind of like a muscle. If like you're working it out, and the only way to work it out is you got to tear it up.
Yep.
Yeah, that's really cool though. Kind of made me think too about how like the disciples is like you get to see kind of their relationship with Jesus and their love for Jesus over time, and they did not always feel like they loved Jesus, but over time, I would think that you see their faith and their love for Jesus grow stronger to the point that they're willing to die for Jesus. When at one point they're like, I don't want to die for Jesus. I'm going to abandon him when he needs me most. But it's them going through those ups and downs and the trials and tribulations that helps them grow in their faith. And 2, I think even seeing how Jesus' love for them didn't change. Like, I feel like that would inspire them to press on too.
Yeah.
Because it's not even like Jesus' love was just it was always there and then he died and that's it. It's like no, Jesus died. You guys abandoned him during that time.
Yeah.
He comes back and he immediately comes back to you. And he wants to talk to you.
Yeah.
And even Thomas ain't buying it. And Jesus is like, I'm going to still pursue you, even though like I'm literally bodily resurrected. I'm here, came just for you, came specifically to talk to you.
Yeah. And
you're still doubting me. I'm still gonna pursue you. And I think that has like an emotional reaction like that. It kind of makes me think of we say it all the time of like you are what you eat. Of if you fall out of love, the way you capture that feeling again is you put the work in. Of kind of like you said, you bring that curiosity back into the relationship if it's faded out for some reason.
Yeah.
You start asking those questions of you. I don't know. There's times even at my work, and obviously my work is not a person, but I love my craft, but I go in there every day, and every day I do not feel like I love my craft.
Yeah, sure.
You go through season where you're like, even this week, I'm like, I'm tired of sanding. The sand is weighing heavy on my eyes. I'm tired. It is hot. But then I have to remember to like change the perspective of how I look at the craft.
Yeah.
And I have to like think back to the days when I was in love with it. I'm like, why was I in love with it then?
Yeah.
And it's like, well, because you've seen the wood for more than just a slab of wood that you got to sand.
Yeah.
You've seen like the process it was going through and just the beauty and like how God made the wood and the grain and all that stuff. And I think a lot of it's just like change perspective and like what are you putting into the love? What are you putting behind the feeling?
Yeah, and I even think too, man, like for both of us, like for you and your work that you just talked about, for like I mentioned with Carrie and I, like, man, if we would have tapped out 4 or 5 years ago, I mean, at the hardest season of our marriage by far, the hardest season of my life by far, where I could care less about ministry and I didn't care. I mean, I was done, just done. And man, I just think about like if I would have tapped out and if we'd have just saw, okay, we did fall out of love or whatever kind of thing, man, I would have missed where we are now.
Yeah.
And in you and work, I'm sure there's, like you said, there's times where you're just like, man, it's just, monotonous and it's the same, but then there's obviously your focus, back on why you love it in the first place. But I'm sure there's moments too that you like man, something reminds you. God's grace, He reminds you of something, of why you love it. I mean, whether it's a customer or something you're designing or whatever, it reminds you in that moment. It's like, okay, well, if you'd have tapped out before, you'd have missed that moment. Mm-hmm. You know, and I just wonder how much we miss because, again, we are so caught up in, you know, the emotion or, you know, the feeling aspect of love or, you know, whatever kind of thing that, man, we miss the best part. Yeah. Of those relationships, or if it's a job or whatever it is that you love.
Yeah. Me and Berlin, we started going through the book of Ruth.
Okay.
And one of the things, Ruth is an amazing book.
Yeah,
I've read, but I never studied it. Just read it.
Uh-huh.
And this is like the first time
I preached through it. I mean,
really?
Yes.
Okay. Well,
golly, you tapped out for like 6 weeks, I guess. I was like, I did go through it one time.
Yes, you did.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going through it again.
Man, I crushed that season. I mean, that just left such an impression on you. Yeah, that's awesome.
But it was interesting because you're like watching Naomi and how she has nothing like left to give.
Yeah.
She feels that. Which I was thinking about on the way up. I was like, Ruth didn't have anything to give. Like she's broken, homeless too.
Yeah.
But Naomi is like pushing Ruth away, and she's like, I don't have anything to give you. There's no reason for you to stay here.
Yeah.
But then you see Ruth's love for Naomi by Ruth being like, I'm not leaving. Yeah. I'm committing to you.
Yeah.
If you're cursed, I'm cursed.
Yeah.
If God's out to get you, He's out to get me because I'm sticking with you. And it was just this. It made me think this maybe sometimes where we get love wrong is we, and especially like in relationships where we feel like we fell out of love, is because we feel like we have nothing left to give into the relationship, or maybe we feel like the other person is like stopped giving, and especially like this, we feel like the other person stopped giving. Then maybe that's one of those areas where like you have to have that sacrificial love that Jesus had.
Yeah.
And that's where it kind of, I feel like our culture would say that in those moments where that the other person stops giving that love to you, that's when you're like, you tap out.
Yeah.
I'm talking about like marriage. I'm not talking about dating.
Yeah.
But that's where you tap out. You say, if you're not gonna give in this season, then I'm done.
Yeah.
But then I think Jesus' idea of love is like, no, there's going to be seasons where that other person doesn't give. There's going to be seasons where you don't give too.
Yep.
And you'll be thankful when that other person stays.
Yeah.
And so during the season where they're not giving, you stay and you commit it.
Yeah.
And you just pour the love out on them. And again, I think love has that, contagious effect of when you give it, that person will catch that.
Yeah.
Catch it too.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and I think, man, we're so transactional, even in relationships.
Yeah.
We're contractual in this. I always just use the analogy of, as long as you do this, then I'll do this. I mean, that's a contract. It's like a phone contract. As long as you pay your bill, you get your minutes kind of thing. As soon as you stop paying, it's cut off kind of deal. And we treat people that way. As long as they're doing what we need or want or whatever else kind of thing, it's the contractual versus God love is covenant. It's binding. I'm in this no matter what.
Yeah.
And I'm always, man, like even last night I was leading Bible study and it was in Mark 10, and it's just that little phrase of when Jesus is talking to the rich young ruler. And he asked him, what he must do to inherit eternal life, what he must do, because that's his whole mindset is what he's got to do something to inherit eternal life. And but I brought it up to the guys last night. I said, just a couple of words. Jesus, who's God in flesh, knew that he was going to reject him.
Yeah.
And even before he turns away sorrowful and doesn't follow Jesus kind of thing, I love the Bible says Jesus loved him.
Yeah.
I mean, I just love that. I mean, Jesus, knowing he would reject him, loved him. And you talking about the disciples, man. I love how it says Jesus loved them to the max or to the full. That includes Judas.
Mm-hmm.
It includes Peter, who's constantly putting his foot in his mouth and eventually denying. I mean, through all of that, and yet Jesus, that didn't stop him. Why? Because he's bound himself to him.
Yeah.
It's that covenant love. It's not transactional because you're talking about piecing out quick. I mean, for Jesus and with these disciples who are constantly not getting it and messing up, I mean, what is he getting out of it? If it was strictly contractual.
Yeah. Man. It reminds me too of this is I decided that if I get a tattoo, this is the first tattoo I want to get. And it's the word Hesed.
Yes. Love it.
Because that's something I'm sure you know, I've always struggled with this feeling of people will fall out of love with you, they will leave.
Yeah.
And that's something I've always wrestled with. But then learning that word Hesed and learning, you translated loyal love. Mm-hmm. God has this loyal love for you that He's sticking it out, and too to find it so much in the Psalms, where you're seeing the worst of David, where he's David in one psalm will be chewing God out. The next psalm he's like, God, I hate those people, and yet you continually just see throughout the Psalms God's Hesed love for David of, you're a mess, David, but I'm here, and we're working through this together. Yeah. And then even because I love the Old Testament so much, and you read those narratives, and you see this with all of them, of Abraham. Abraham is a mess, and yet God is He's just continually loving, and love isn't that idea of you just let people off the hook with everything they do, and they can abuse you or anything like that. No. But it's with God, it's I know you're going to mess up. Mm-hmm. I know that you're human and you're going to get it wrong in some seasons. You're going to get it right in some seasons, and that there'll be ups and downs. But I'm committing to you because I have a plan for you. I have a plan for us, and I know what I signed up for. Yeah, that's good. That line hit me a couple weeks ago, and I was like, sometimes I've found myself feeling like I have to warn God and be like, God, you didn't sign up for this. And it's nah, God
knew what he was getting into. Yeah.
He knew the mess you were, and it's beautiful because it's you don't have to warn him.
And so many times in the Psalms when Hesed, that loving, loyal, kindness, love that God has, David will use that in the midst of all that turmoil, in the midst of his anger. And it's he is, I'm dealing with this, and this is not going right. Yes, I want all my enemies destroyed. Yeah, but he'll run straight to who God is, the character of God. And that's what we have to do. Because, man, when it comes to, I was thinking even driving up, man, so love, it's such an awesome, not just word, but truth. That you think about a child, says it early on, one of the first words kind of thing. Mom and dad's want to teach them kind of deal. And we use it all the time. We use it flippantly for ice cream or whatever, kind of thing. Yeah. But then at the same breath, it's so deep. I was, thinking about if you were just, it's kind of like glory or beautiful. It's one of those words that if you had to describe it to someone who had no idea what it was, I feel like John in Revelation. I'm just grabbing stuff. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because it is self-giving and it's sacrificial and it's covenantal and it's all these things, but it's not like you can put it in a nice, neat, or I could anyway, a nice, neat sentence. Here is exactly what it is kind of thing.
It's reckless.
Yeah. It's crazy. It's so beautiful. But we do need to run to the character of God because I love how, I've said that 10 times already, that God is love.
Yeah.
I mean, and so you said that earlier about we do have this, because we are finite, it's so hard for us to understand, so God is unchanging. So this is his essence. This is who he is. So he is love. And he is also just, and he's also holy, and he's also all these things. And they never contradict or there's ever any tension between love and justice or anything. It's, in fact, when he acts justly, righteously, judges, it's out of love because he's love too. You know what I mean? They're never in conflict with one another. We struggle with that because we can't do that perfectly.
Yeah.
You know, and it's hard for us to understand how God does and is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was something else that I thought was cool, of the idea that God is love. Of sometimes, especially in our culture, that word has gotten hijacked sometimes, and as Christians we'll get a little worried about using it. And especially saying God is love, because we're like, no, God is also has wrath and justice. And I agree with all that.
Sure.
But I continually am finding that as I read through because I read through the Old Testament a lot. The more I read through the Old Testament, the more I'm actually seeing God's love poured out, even in the midst of His wrath and His justice.
Yeah.
Because you read like the minor prophets, and God is judging Israel for something. And one, it's justice because Israel's screwing somebody over. They're oppressing the poor or somebody. And so there's the justice of God, which shows His love because he loves the poor and the people who are afflicted. But then He also has love for the oppressor, Israel, in those instances too, because He's like, I'm going to let a nation come and break you down so that I can build you back up. Of my love for you, you're going to feel like it. And I think that's what Naomi felt in Ruth is, and I could be wrong. I'm still trying to work this out. But as I was reading like Ruth chapter 1, you see Naomi and Elimelech. Okay. There's a famine going on in Israel because of God's judgment on Israel, because they're wilding out their sin and they're chasing other gods. So Ruth and Elimelech, instead of repenting, which I think they should have done, they flee the judgment
or even pray about it or anything. They get out.
They run, and they run to a nation of other gods.
Yes. Because they got food.
Which is exactly what they're like. Israel's getting in trouble for is like worshiping other gods, and so they do that, and then a famine comes over there, and then she loses her sons and her husband, and I wondered if that was also like part of God's love. He's like, my judgment for you isn't because I hate you.
Oh no.
And I wondered if Naomi felt that way of like, you're judging us, and that's because you hate us and you're out to get us. And so that's why she fled. And God's like, no, here's my judgment again. I want you to come back home because this whole thing is me trying to show you my love. And then even you see her and Ruth, and she still feels like God's out to get her. But then you look at Ruth coming into her life, and you're like, maybe God again is like trying to drill home to Naomi, like, I love you. And Ruth is like, it's kind of like that whole Matt Chandler thing that he says of like, Jesus is the greater David. Like Jesus is the greater Ruth.
Sure.
Of he loves you more than Ruth does in this moment. And Ruth is really like, she really loves you. Yeah, for Naomi, you see that. I mean, she changes, she tells everybody, all the ladies in the city kind of like, stop calling me this beautiful name kind of thing. I'm bitter now, and I'm afflicted by God. God's done. And so it's like her whole identity, because of things that have transpired, she feels like God has just cast her out. And this, like you said, I mean, and then again, it's one of those, like, when the Bible says that God disciplines those whom He loves, man, it's like, wow, But again, as a father, man, I love my kids. I want the best for them. I don't discipline them to restrict them, to hold them back, to rob them of joy. In fact, I want them to have more joy. I want them to experience more. I want to protect them. Absolutely. I mean, I want to protect them from themselves, protect them from other things. And so you put, guidelines and stuff like that. Well, how much more? I mean, I love, again, Jesus talks about, I love my kids, die for them in a heartbeat. But yet Jesus says, in comparison to His love for us, it's evil. It looks like hate. So when He disciplines us, and you're right. I mean, God's people who he just,
He talks about how he's chosen them, and he's placed his love on them, not because they're a great nation, not because of their number or their might. He just overflows in love.
Yeah.
He chooses, he loves despite knowing what they'll do. And he is constantly, even in those judgments, he's constantly like, come back home. I'm using these, but it's purposeful. I want you back with me. Stop doing that. Stop going that way. I mean, it's a loving Father. Mm-hmm. And I know, again, we kind of get caught up and people say, oh, well, that's the God of wrath, the Old Testament, and God of love of the New because of Jesus. And no, man, there's love there too. Love all over the place.
Yeah,
that's who he is.
When you realize that like his justice is actually his love, then I feel like it changed how I read. How I feel like I approach the Bible now, because then the Bible becomes that unified story of you actually see God's good character throughout it all, because you're like, oh no, it all connects.
Yeah,
like it all leads to the same thing, and God never changes character throughout any of this. It's just sometimes we sometimes, especially like that word discipline, we assume. I guess the picture that comes to a lot of our minds is like our dad whooping us with a belt.
Chasing around in a circle.
Yeah. Or we think of it as like a rigid like religion full of rules where you're trying to earn your way to like God or paradise or whatever. But then I think the thing that's helped me a lot the past few years is like tapping into those spiritual disciplines and realizing like when you try to mirror your life the way Jesus did and how he lived, and you put those disciplines in your life, you start realizing, oh, there is a way you could do them out of religion and out of duty, and that would be wrong.
And be miserable at it.
Yeah. But it kind of goes to the idea of like what I think Jesus said about the Sabbath, of like, I made the Sabbath for you, not you for the Sabbath. Of I put these rules in place for you, for your betterment, so you can experience the life I've wanted you to have.
Yeah.
But when you're doing them out of obligation, that's when you get into trouble. And so it made me think too about how like sometimes when I hear people say this, sometimes it kind of drives me crazy of I don't feel like reading my Bible. And I get that.
Yeah.
Like I don't tell people to read their Bible every day.
And who does feel like it every day of all your life?
Yeah,
nobody.
That's the thing is like, but I don't actually like reading. Someone helped put that discipline to, like Kobe Tomlinson, who's going to come on in a later episode than this. He helped me put that discipline of reading into my life, not because I loved it. I still don't love it, but I see the benefits of it. And I see how it's made me grow as a person.
Yes.
And I think that's what it's like with your relationship with Jesus or your relationship with anybody, is you put disciplines in your life because you know they're going to help the relationship later down the road with a marriage or like dating relationship. Of you make sure you go on dates regularly, not out of duty or obligation, but because you're fostering that love. Love is an action, but when you do it as an action, it helps bring that keep that feeling there, I think.
No
Would that
doubt.
be right? Yeah.
For sure.
Okay.
And man, the other thing too, because I said, nobody, I mean, I'm a pastor of 10 plus years. And if you heard me say, I don't always feel like reading my Bible, that's the truth.
Yeah.
I don't always feel like praying. I don't always feel like serving. There's days where I have prepared all week and worshiped and in the Word and prayer and everything else leading up to preaching. And I'm just like, not feeling it kind of thing. But here's what's amazing is those moments where I don't feel like it. Again, if I just stop, because some of the sweetest, most powerful, most intimate times with God is after I got into it when I didn't feel like it.
Yeah.
And so, that discipline, and I'm not saying it happens every time, but it happens a lot for me. I know where I don't feel like, man, getting up, extra early or missing lunch or whatever it is that I'm doing to just dive in the Word, just be with God. Whatever you're doing, just be with your Father kind of thing. But it's in that, okay, when you are, again, it's, okay, well, this is, to your point, this is why I'm reading, because I'm hearing His voice. And this is why I'm praying, because I'm talking to Him and He's talking to me, and I'm fellowshipping with my Father. I mean, it's like, if you just do it out of duty, There's no delight in that, or not much at all. But when it's intimacy with Yahweh, I mean, it's just, wow, all those other things aside, because we all are that way.
Yeah.
I don't care if it's exercise or what it is. I mean, the hardest part is, getting out of bed and getting in the car and actually driving to the gym.
Yeah.
But once you get there, or if you're an introvert and you're just constantly, people will invite you to a cup of coffee or get together or whatever, and you're like, no, don't want to go. But what happens when you actually get there? A lot of the times, you enjoy yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of how we are, We're just
Yeah.
like, we just need to get over sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, do you got anything else?
I got one more thing.
Yeah.
I want to put it before you, and then why this is so important to me. One of the things I struggled with about 10 years ago, talking about the love of God. Like, I understand He is love. I understand, He displays His love. He's manifested His love. He's poured His love into our heart. All those things, all those beautiful scriptures. Love Him, love Him, love Him. That He, God so loved the world that He said, I love, love, love it. One of the things I struggled with, though, was, like, we can't force people to love you. I mean, you get put in jail for stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
But yet God commands us.
Yeah.
One of the verses that we quote all the time, we're to love our God with all of our being, mind, strength, heart, soul, the whole nine. But that's a command. Now we get that we're to love our neighbors ourselves. I think most people are like, okay, I need to love. God's commanding me. He's calling me, inviting me to love everyone. Mm-hmm. But for God to command that we love Him, I struggle with that for a little bit because I'm like, well, how can God command me? And I know that the only reason I love Him is because He first loved me. So for a while, I struggled with kind of like trying to figure out, like, why would God command us? Like, why would it be kind of like, if you love me, kind of conditional kind of thing? Man, here's blessings or intimacy or whatever. But it's just this, okay, what's the greatest commandment? Well, we're to love Him. And it is a command. It always has been kind of thing. I see your wheels churning. You want me to go a little bit?
Yeah.
What I just personally, same thing with glorifying God. It's what we're created to do. Loving God, same thing. If God is the supreme, and He is the supreme being, the most satisfying thing you can ever experience, then to glorify Him, to love Him, even as He commands us both to glorify and love Him, there's no other being like that we're going to find the love and enjoyment and fulfilling, even in the glorification aspect of another, because love is self-giving kind of thing. It would be unloving for Him not to tell us to love Him, because He is the supreme. He is love. You know what I mean? Like, and I know, because it gets a little, just even saying it, that He commands, because it's kind of like in our minds, it's like, you can't make somebody love you. And He doesn't, man. He gives you a choice. He lays out His love before you, and the sacrifice of His Son, and puts people in your life to love you and that love Him, and all those sort of things.
Are you kind of getting at, I don't know, maybe it was like Andrew Schultz or somebody who said this, that when you connect with the divine, you're actually connecting with your real self, because of like the divine God. He made you. He made everything about you. And so when you connect with Him, you're actually going to understand yourself way more. Is it kind of
okay? Well,
like
I don't know.
No?
Yeah, I mean, in a way, it's kind of tricky that I'm divine. But you're created being, like, you're created for that relationship.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I get that part. I mean, to the point that, like, God, again, not only is creator, but as one who longs for. I mean, Jesus says that, He wants you to have His joy, which is joy to the full. Like, He wants you to be joyful. He wants you to be happy. He wants you to experience His joy, His love.
Yeah.
And that's only possible in Him, through Him.
Yeah.
So again, it's kind of like, this is, I guess, a bad example, but for me as a father, I mean, I would not command my child to love me, kind of thing. But for God as a perfect father, as the supreme, as he is love and joy and all those kind of things, if I don't go to him and start as he's the source of joy and love and all those things that I long for, if I don't start with him, I'm never going to experience it.
Yeah.
At all. Like to the full, like I'll get glimpses of it, kind of the shadow of it here on earth. But without him, I'm never going to fully experience what love is.
Yeah.
And so he's like in the command. When I say command, that's kind of one of those words you're like, ooh, you get a little rigid. But God's commands are always an invitation to trust him. Always.
Yeah.
And so when he commands us to love our neighbor, man, again, they ain't always easy to love. I ain't always easy to love.
Yeah.
But God is like, again, he's inviting, just trust me. I know it's all relationships are dysfunctional. There's all kind of stuff, always. But God's like, this is my plan, you know? And in loving each other, you're going to experience my love. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that's why that command there. But I got caught up on that at one time because it's just one of those things in my limited, finite mind. It's kind of hard to wrap around why God would command us.
Yeah, I've never really thought about that.
Yeah. I just want to throw that little nugget at the end there for
Yeah.
you to dwell on. But yeah, even for us as loving our neighbor, it's difficult. And you're not going to feel like it. You're not going to feel like serving them. You're not going to feel like, in fact, there's people that's hurt you or people, quite honestly, you just don't get along with for whatever reason. That you will be tempted to avoid in the grocery market or not wave at and pretend you're on your phone. Stupid stuff like that we do. But man, you're going to miss so much if you do that.
Yeah.
Because I just really do believe when God, again, that invitation, if you love them like I love you, unconditionally, sacrificially, self-giving. Because again, before God even created, he who is love, there was this overflow of beautiful, infinite love between Father, Son, and Spirit, even before he created anything.
Mm-hmm.
It's always been overflowing self-giving. And so when we do that to your divinity thing, we are reflecting who he is.
Yeah. This has been another episode of Into the Fray. We want to thank you guys for listening. Please subscribe to the podcast on your podcast feed. We will see you next week for another conversation.